Welcome to our IELTS preparation course. And it's just about time for the 8th lesson now. Before we learn something new, try to remember some of the useful tips that you were offered during the previous lesson. What are they? Can you write them down on a sheet of paper and explain them to yourself how you can actually benefit from them? Now let's go further. In today's listening, we're going to talk about contrasting ideas.
Now let's do some of the exercises. Before you do that, have in mind the following. Use signposting words and headings. A shift in topic often indicates that you should move on to the next question. Use signposting words as well as headings in the notes to help guide you through the topics and the questions. Be ready to hear synonyms. Remember, you may hear synonyms of the words written on the question paper. Be ready for a comparing or contrasting sort of talk. Sometimes the focus of a talk will be comparing or contrasting several different things. The information may be organized as a table that you need to complete. Pay attention to the information in a table. The information in a table is always read from left to right. The different examples will be described in order. Notice that there is often a title or a heading at the top of the table to give you more information. Use notes to follow a talk. The headings in a set of notes can help you in the same way as the headings in a column. And now, listen and complete the table with one word only.
Recording 32.
In my talk today, I'm going to be looking at plants that have had an impact on our world and our history. Let's start with the potato. It was originally one of the staple foods of Central and South America, and when Spanish explorers traveled to the Americas, sometime in the 16th century, the potato found its way into Europe. This had several important consequences. In particular, it almost totally altered people's diet in many European countries. The potato is also believed to have been responsible for the start of a new trend, that of migrating to America. So you could say that the humble potato actually allowed many people to change their lives. However, there were also problems associated with this crop. Largely in Ireland, where the poor were very much reliant on the success of the crops. Sadly, a disease in the crop spread rapidly across the country and led to widespread potato crop failures in the mid-1800s. This meant that millions suffered from starvation as a result. Let's move on to look at another plant from the same part of the world, the tobacco plant. This originated in the Americas and had an enormous influence on the way North America developed in the 1800s. It's famed for being the original cash crop there and for funding a great deal of the development that occurred during this time. On the downside, the success of this crop resulted in a greater demand for slaves to work the crops, and this eventually led to war breaking out between the northern states and those in the south. Now, the next plant I'd like to mention is one known and used all around the world: tea. It originated in China, and in terms of its historical significance, it played a large part in the U.S. independence from Great Britain. This came about because the British government declared that the colonies had to pay a tax on the produce brought into America. It was because of the protest against these taxes that the American Revolution came about. The final plant I'll look at today is the white mulberry. Again, it originated in China and had an enormous influence on development in this part of the world, in particular in establishing trade between the East and the West. Sadly, the increase in trade brought with it the spread of disease and weapons.